What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video where I'll be breaking down our futures contract, talking about my trades and everything in between. If you like it, subscribe, like, comment. If you don't like it, subscribe, like, comment. If you want to learn more, go to camelbacktrading.org. Go check out Paul Asmar. Great mentor, great guide. Definitely helps out a lot. Wonderful trading room, great group of guys in there as well. And this is just my trading journey. You know, it's a grind. Some days we're up, some days we're up big, some days we're down, some days we're down big. It's all how you handle yourself in these situations that kind of make things, you know, make what's the saying? Uh, Pressure makes diamonds or some shit like that. So, I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and dive into this. Try to make it very quick. We're going to look at the daily, the weekly, the monthly, run through that really quickly. If you've been watching any of my videos this week, you know that everything we've said has been tested and we've been proven right so far, right? In the sense of the buyers need to hold these levels. You've seen the video on Wednesday. You were wanting to hold the 5400 level and get back above the 5450 level. If you were looking at the video yesterday, you knew that it was imperative to hold, to hold above the 5496 level to 5500 level. And and at the very least, open up in the upper end of the upper distribution and push higher, right? For me, we were in this little bitty balance here, 1, 2, 3, 4 days. We got a gap up. That gap is still there. We got a nice little gap up, and we've been one time framing up 1, 2, 3 days in a row. Now, for some people, you may just now be coming out of balance, right? Once we finally got above this 5520 level, you started to see a little bit more short covering, a little bit more pressure on the sellers if they were short here, right, to get out of any of their positions that they may have still had on there or even put on whenever we came back up to retest this level. So far we've held these levels, right? Moving forward, I'll talk about some levels that we need to hold, but as of right now, very nice hold of 5500, and this dash line is a very, very key level. Why is it a very, very key level? Well, because that was our outside week up scenario, right? We needed ES and SPY to close above last week's high, right? We took out last week's low, we took out last week's high. Very positive for the buyers. Very, very positive. This favors a, I can't give percentages, but the probabilities of setting higher highs next week or going into next week are pretty good. The probability is it's pretty solid, right? We still have a gap above that we need to fill in the daily chart. We'll go back and look at that in a second, but we need to hold above this 54.96 level and close above it for an outside week up. That's a very bullish thing. Just as if this were to be an outside week down. You see how this week right here, you see how we got above that weekly high and then came back below and it turned out very bearish, right? Same concept, but on the bullish side. We took out that week's low. Then we took out that week's high and closed above it. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get the same range that we had and follow through that we had whenever we came down like this out of that outside week down, but it's very positive. We could have a nice little run back up towards at least this week's high. Let me get my little thingy here. Where's it at? Bring it over. This week's high was 57.61. Okay. Not saying we're going to get there in one straight shot. It might be a grind up, but that's a target now. Okay. First things first, we got to fill the gap on the daily chart and we got to start getting some type of extension. All right. If we go back to our daily, we need to get good extension. We would like to see more volume step in, right? Volume is kind of dying off as we push higher, but we want to see volume kind of step in, push into this gap. If we can get back into this day's range here, I mean, you got nothing until pretty much the 50-day moving average, which is around 56.66, okay? So next levels on the upside, that are going to be big key indicators is a hold of 55.50. Okay, on our intraday, hold of 55.50, and then a push up and above, and a hold above 6,600 or 5,600. Okay, if we can hold above 5,600, your next destination is going to be 5666. Okay, and then so on and so forth as you push higher. But what we want to see coming into next week is a hold above 55.50, a push up to 5,600. We might fail there initially whenever we fill this gap at 5610. If we fill this gap, it's kind of more or less which gap gets filled at this point. Is it going to be the downside gap here? Or is it going to be this upside gap? We kind of got into it today. Not by very much, but we got into it. Is it going to get filled, or are we going to roll over, come back into some type of balance, and fill this gap on the downside? There's a lot to be had here, a lot to break down, but those are the key things. 55.50, 5,600, need to hold above and get above. Okay, if not, we get back below 55.50. Chances of coming down and back below 5,500 are pretty good, and back testing the 20-day moving average is also very good. We got a little bit of a divergence, or not divergence, convergence here. 20 and the 9 EMA or SMA are coming together, right? Starting to get a little bit of a curve up here, meaning we might go and test the 50-day moving average. If we can get above that, 200-day moving average is just a little shot away from that point, okay? Now we're going to look at the monthly real quick just to kind of reiterate that we are still down on the monthly. And yesterday I gave a bunch of scenarios is if we can stay one time framed up on the daily, the weekly's firmly back to balance, okay? Coming into next month, there's still a couple days left in this month, but lining it up for next month, you got to think ahead. If we can stay pretty much above 5,500, it should be no problem for the bulls to take out this month's high, 57.61 at some point, saying we hold above 5,500. So say maybe we consolidate between 55 and 5,600 for the remainder of this month. And then come the month of May, we rotate up, put the monthly back into some type of balance moving forward. That would not be a bad thing for the buyers, right? It's all baby steps. You got to stop one time framing down the daily first, come into a balance. Then you got to come out of balance to the upside. Stop the one time framing down on the weekly, put that in balance. Then you got to come out of balance on the weekly, start one time framing up. And then once you do that, you got 2 time frames in alignment. Then you look to rotate, take out a monthly high or monthly low, whichever it is. But for us right now, it's a monthly high. Stop the one time framing down on that. We come back into a balance on the monthly. Then the next step is continuation until we can get the monthly from from balance to one time framing up. And then all 3 end up in alignment at some point in time down the road, maybe in the next 3 or 4 months, we all end up in the alignment and we're setting all-time highs again. Now, this can all be neglected and break away if we do not hold above 5,500. We do not hold above 5,500, come all the way back down. We just continue to one time frame down the monthly, and everything as far as the bulls have done so far, all the damage that they've took back from the bears will kind of go to kaput, okay? So monthly still one time framing down. Weekly is officially in a balance. We're about to draw that balance right now. Weekly is officially in balance. Now, you can use this week's high if you want, or you can use this week's high. I'm going to use this week's high because I think it's imperative that we get above this week's high and start moving up. Now, actually, I need them to prove it. I think it would be good for us to start moving up higher, but I do think we're in a very large weekly balance. Okay? We get up here above the 56 or 57.61 level, we'll be one time framing up, in my opinion. And then at that point, the monthly will be back to balance. Okay? So that is a weekly high and a monthly high right there. That needs to get taken care of in the near future. So monthly still down, weekly is balance, the daily is one time framing up. For me, been one time framing up for at least 3 days now. 1, 2, 3 days in a row. For those that were using this 5520, you're just now beginning to one-time firm up, getting into that gap. All right. So there's that. Let's look at what happened today. I got into a little bit of a trouble. Was kind of down big on the day, actually. I say big, but it could have been worse. And we'll talk about it. But I got myself in some trouble here. At the lows of the day. All right. Uh, very positive, by the way, for the buyers. Let me get rid of all these drawings. Move all drawings. Very positive for the buyers, right? We wanted to open up, and in yesterday's video, I had a little box, so I'm gonna re-highlight that box. Buyers wanted to open up in this zone here. Wait, where is it? Buyers wanted to open up and stay in this zone here. If they could do that, then a push higher was likely. We slightly broke down below that today and tried to get into the other distributions on the downside. Whenever that happened, I got caught trying to long against the overnight lows, got taken apart, made on a couple, lost on a lot more. Whenever we started a one-time frame down in B period, I didn't think we were going to hold trend, tried to long it. It continued to push down, got stopped out. And then finally in C period, I got short at the low pretty much of the day is where I got filled because I thought we were going to go get the IB low and push lower and get into the lower or the middle distribution and potentially test around this 54, 55 level, right? Because we had broken through 5,500, tried several times. We were failing up here at the 5520 level early on, but sellers dried up. They couldn't push it. I got caught and I added and I added and then I added again. And my out was at the high of the day, which at the time was 55.25. I was my out was 55.26. Stayed in the grind. At one point, I was even at break even in E period at one point because my average was around 5,500. I was at basically break even. I could have taken the trade off for break even, maybe even up $1 or $2. Could have taken the trade off, but I didn't. I let it grind me up, stop me out, and I got emotional with it. I didn't want to be proven wrong. I was pissed that I missed the initial long early on in the morning. I was pissed I missed the long in B period against the overnight low whenever they pulled in a little bit. I was just mad at myself and, caused myself some pain. It's not the way you should be doing things. Should not be trading emotionally. All right. If I pull this up, I think this is it. Nope. That's what I ended with on the day. This is the one. So at one point in time in the day, I was down $610. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. I allowed myself to get to a $610 loss. Terrible. I just wasn't seeing the market right, got emotional, stayed in a trade that I shouldn't have stayed in. I should have stopped out immediately. Once I seen that C period did not push below B's low, I should have stopped out immediately. Once we got back inside of A's range, should have stopped out immediately, but I did not. I got emotional. Took a moment, stepped away from the market, came back in G period, seen that we were on this grind up. And I was like, you know what? They got the IB high and the IB low. They're most likely going to get both overnights as well. It seems to happen. We got above that 55.20 level. We were still holding above it. So in G period, H period, and I period, I did nothing but long and take the grind. And we ended up being only down $127 on the day. All right. So not bad from being down $610. We made back 500 of it, basically. And still down on the day, down on the week, small. As I look up here, I only ended up on the week down to $27.77. So it could have been much more disastrous. It could have been a $500 loss on the week, but instead, only down $27.77. So I cannot be mad about that. I probably should have stayed away from the market whenever I was getting involved, but it was in this grind up. I couldn't help but participate in the market whenever it was doing what it was doing, right? And then you finally got a liquidation in I period. I did participate and nail a long in I period whenever it came down to 29. We filled this little set of single prints that we had here. It bounced up immediately. As soon as I got in, there was no drawdown, bounced up, boom, caught like 6 points in it. 6, 7 points, got out. And that was pretty much what made back. I was trading with size too, so that's another thing should not have been doing, was trading with size. But like I said, you win some, you lose some, and today we just barely got away. Next week is a different week. We look forward to doing better. But just to reiterate, lines in the sand around that 5,500 to 5,510 level need to hold. We need to continue to push up and get above that 5,600 level on the upside. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a wonderful day. If you did stop by, like the video, comment if you don't know some of the jargon. Go check out camelbacktrading.org, camelbacktrading.org, that is. Paul Asmar on YouTube. Go check him out. Great mentor, great guide. Catch you guys in the next one.